Willow's been a little bit sick. She had 2 seizures, and she's losing control of her back leg again where that surgery was. So I haven't showed a lot of videos of Willow because I wanted to not bug her. She's in the office today with her ladies. They're coming here in a few minutes, and she'll at least get a little bit of loving from them. But I've been trying to leave her alone. Willow's getting really old, and all her things are falling apart. The doctor, she spent a whole day at the vet this week. He analyzed a bunch of stuff. Her seizures are not neurological, so it's got to be like something like epilepsy, which he thinks is kind of funny that's coming on this late in the game. But they got put her on medicine for that, which is making her a little drowsy. But y'all say a prayer for her, and she will still be the boss. Though I'm always the boss, right? So y'all say a prayer for her, though. She's just been waiting here by the window. We got about 1.5 feet of snow, and she's been waiting by the window to see what's going to happen with the ladies coming, because that's where at least she gets her treats. Yeah, tell you, that lady give me treats. Yeah, she's real sleepy with that medicine. All right, thank you. Well, hello and welcome to Radio Hound Tube Radio Restorations. This is John from Indiana, and this week we're going to be trying to get our little radio going. We had good power up the other day. We were able to do alignment on the broadcast section, and when we tried to put actual radio station through, we had a little trouble. So we're not getting the RF through the right way. So on this video today, we're going to try to troubleshoot that. I'm going to show you the steps we take to do that. Hopefully at the end of this video, we'll have a radio going through the broadcast section, and then we'll try to go over and do the alignment on the shortwave and the police side too. But that's my goal today, is to try to get us some kind of music coming through this radio, or some kind of audio, I should say, going through this radio. And I hope you'll stay with us and enjoy the troubleshooting phase of this radio. I'm kind of glad that we do have little problems with it, so we can try to figure out our way through it. All right, thank you for watching today. I want to take a few minutes just to go over a couple things on this. We're starting this new video this week. We left off where we got a somewhat of a alignment done on this radio. We do have radio sound, which tells us that we have a good audio section, but we're not getting RF through. So you can get audio through, but sometimes you won't get RF through, and there's a reason for that. Well, there's other problems too, and I wanted to try to identify some of them to you and maybe give you some ideas, but I just wanted to go over this real quick. I want to say, when you get into this troubleshooting phase, don't give up, because some of this part right here can be the most frustrating thing in the planet. You know you got a good radio because you can hear it coming through your speaker, and that's good, but you just can't get a radio station. And I'm going to show you something here in a minute, but just hang in there. Don't give up when you get that. You just got to keep trying different things, and don't be a quitter on this, because sometimes you want to just go scream and throw it out the front window. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm trying to do this stuff live so you can see what actually happens. This happens a lot. Now I want you to see, I probably need to, give me a second, I'm going to tape this thing down because I don't want to bounce this off of here. I got my little box sitting up on top here, and I want to make sure that I don't bounce that off, so I'm going to just tape it in place so it don't take off on me. I'll show you that in a minute here. Up the top of the radio, I got this little switch box, and I just want to make sure that I kind of tape it into place so it don't fall off of here. So, and I'm going to do some hitting on this thing. Now, once you hear this, it probably won't do it on me now. It's got a short somewhere, and when I was hitting on that a minute ago, it was popping in and out. Let me try to change the switch. Sometimes that'll do it. popping real bad right here, and I take this little wooden stick and I just go through and start flicking connections here, because what you're looking for when you hear that popping noise is a loose solder joint or a cold solder joint, and you click each one of these soldering points to see if it's going to kick it on and off, kick the radio on and off. I did resolder all the ones on this thing here already, so that might have fixed my problem, because that's where it was mainly doing it. And I'm not getting that problem now where it's kicking in and out, so I might have fixed my problem. I also pulled that tube out, and I cleaned the tube really good, and I cleaned the sockets again really good. So that was a 6F5 that I pulled out of there. I was just trying to play around with this morning and kind of see if I could find any other problems that we're going to run into and be able to talk about them today. Some of these problems take a long time, and I don't want to burn up video time just while you're watching me trying to figure out what's going on. I would rather maybe try to figure it out and then come back and explain it to you. But I'm still getting that little bit of popping, and I'm trying to find it. I don't know if you can hear that. Hear that popping? Now I got it. That popping right there tells you something's still loose. And you want to check for that before you get going, because you'll have a good working radio even, and then it'll all once just die on you and you won't get anything. And you'll try to figure out why. And if you hit the radio, it'll come right back on. I'm still getting stuff in right here. I don't know if you can hear me clicking on that, but I'm going through all these joints, and most of it's centered right around here where my problem is. I'm getting a little bit from that receptacle, which I'm going to reheat that solder joint. It's on that little terminal strip. So that one's giving me some. And I'm still getting a little bit right here. I got a big solder joint right here, and it was kicking it in and out too, so I'm going to resolder that joint too. I'm going to do all this before I try to trace the audio for the the RF coming through. I'll trace that here in a minute, but right now I'm still trying to trace all the other background problems, because if you don't get those fixed, you can get all the audio and all the RF you want, but it'll kick out on you then a week later at your house, and you wonder why you don't have a radio. All right, so stay with me. All right, I want to show you a couple things that I've learned since I did a realignment on it. That was still a little bit off, and I was getting all this distortion. And you guys saw that on the last video when we had the oscilloscope going. You saw the double lines and distortion. Well, that distortion's coming somewhere in this switch assembly or right before it, because I've got good radio, and I tapped into I got this off the thing so I can show you. I tapped into the grid captain 6A8, and I'll show you where I'm at right here. I bypassed everything, and I just tapped into that grid, this line right here, coming in to the 6A8, and I've got great audio. I got a radio here, but I don't have a radio before that because I'm picking up that hum, and the type of hum that we're getting, and I'll unhook this and show you then. I know I forgot to turn the volume down because somebody told me you can't hear me talking with the volume going, but I want you to hear this stuff too.
You should be skeptical, and there are 3 things that you should take.
Let me get disconnected with my antenna back here, and I'll hook my antenna up where it should be hooked. By the way, I disconnected this antenna just to make sure it wasn't this little coil when it's not. The problem is from where this antenna goes in, and that's where we're getting our hum. So there's something connected to this assembly here. Now it could be this wire right here goes into the switch assembly, but it also is connected to that 1232 tube down there, and it's a possibility that there's something wrong with our 1232 tube. Remember, I had to change that out, so maybe I still got an issue there too. But it's somewhere between, I'll show you on the schematic. It's somewhere because the line that I'm connected to is right here, and it's going into that 1232 tube. So my problem is between here and here, because I got a good radio from there on down, so we just got to figure out out what's messing us up in here. It could be any of these wires that are connected to that. So we're going to check all these items down through here, and anything that's connected to this 1232 tube, including that maybe that little coil. That's this little coil right there. There could be something wrong with it. I'm going to try to get on the inside of that and see if we got a good radio. So I got to be real careful here because I can't hook my antenna onto the high power stuff. I gotta stay on this side of that capacitor. So I'm going to try to connect right there. I can't have the high voltage on there. We'll figure out maybe something's going wrong in here. Because when it comes out of that play, that 1232, it has to work its way over to get into this grid. And what it's doing is it's working its way through this switch assembly down here in the oscillator switching and coil, and then it comes out of this switch right here. So we're just going to back our way up through here, and I'm going to go from this switch point to this switch point and see if we get anything different. If we still have our good radio, then we can shorten this distance from where we know we got the problem. We got the problem from here to here. So we're just going to work our way back now and try to resolve the problem. Okay, here I am connected on now. I went up and moved back one spot, and I come out of the switch assembly, which tells me maybe our problem's not in our switch assembly because I'm down here on the wire that comes out of the switch assembly. So I'm actually, I'm right here right now, okay? So now we got to check that capacitor because there's a large mica capacitor right here. And so we're going to get on this side of that capacitor now, but I'm just going to make sure that how much voltage we have right there. I don't want to, I assume that the voltage is probably reduced through here. So maybe there's enough low enough voltage I can clip on there. That's going to be our next step. I didn't want to stay on there too long, but I clipped onto between that mica cap and that coil, showing 223 volts DC. I went ahead and just tapped the antenna onto that, but I didn't want to do that on camera, but I guess I can do it real quick. I just don't want to mess them up, but we've got good radio there. And so our problem is on the other side of that. So we're just going to tap there too. Okay, so we'll see what we got there. Somewhere in here we're picking up that hum, but we're narrowing it down now. So now what we've done is we've tracked our problem. Instead of being over here where the line was, now the line's over here because I went on the other side of that coil. I'm right here coming out of this RF tube. It's pointing at this tube being bad. But because we know from that point in, because I disconnected from that coil, and now we still could have a problem in this switching too. But I did disconnect this line from that coil. So it'd have to be the switching between here and there. So my problem is in this tube area right here. And we're going to check. Also, we got a capacitor and resistor in network here too, so we're going to check that. But first, we're going to make sure that there isn't something wrong with this right here. So we're going to go to that next. Okay, I took the switch clear out of the equation. Let me turn this down. Anyway, you can still hear the distortion right there. I took the switch clear out. I disconnected the switch. Right there's where that was connected. So what I did is I just eliminated the switch being part of the problem. And then that should tell me that my problem is definitely inside that tube or anything touching that tube so far that's connected to other things. Well, we already know I got this disconnected out there because that's this wire floating out here. And so we know it's not anything on that end. So it has to be now something. Either it's got to be this yellow wire right here that's going out to the electrolytic, and the it's got to be this yellow wire right here on the end of that new resistor I just put in. So I'm going to disconnect this wire and see if my sound comes back to me. Because this is the return for that. So I'm just going to disconnect that and see if I get my good sound back. Well, I dug through my stash again and I found me another 1232, so hopefully this will fix the problem. We're going to trade out that 1232. So that's my next step. Okay, that did not fix our problem, so we still got a problem right there around that tube. So I'm going to disconnect every wire from it, but I'm going to do them one at a time. Okay, here's the setup. I just connected this back through a jumper wire, and I also connected the electrolytic back through a jumper wire. That way everything's back connected, and I can move stuff in and out as I need. What I'm going to do is turn it on. I replaced that 1K resistor up there, and that's this one right here. That's the brown, black, red 1 0 with 2 zeros, so 1K resistor. And since that's in the same path, that 1K resistor sits right here between the two IFs, and that could be giving us distortion. And see, if you pull it back, it's connected to that 1232. So I'm replacing that resistor. This right here, it's R8, and that's the one I just replaced. Let's just see what that does. We'll do that live here. I still got my antenna hooked right here, going straight into that 1232 tube. I got it hooked right onto that wire right there. Now, what does this stuff show you? It shows you can unhook a lot of wires and still have a working radio. It really doesn't matter on that. Now, if I try to disconnect this guy, I'm going to totally lose my signal, because that's how it gets up to the IFs there. So if I disconnect that, you're going to totally lose your audio or your RF. So I got to figure out another way to try to analyze this piece of it now. I'll think about that just for a minute. I didn't want to burn a lot of time, but as you see with all the jumper wires now, I'm slowly unhooking each one and then trying to run it without the wire connected and see if we lose our hum. And I know this hum is indicator of, usually it's electrolytics or some grounding issue, and more than likely that's probably what it is. But we can eliminate it by finding out which path it's going. And so I've just been slowly eliminating anything that's touching all this stuff out here. I've just been disconnecting one at a time and testing it to see if it's one of these, because I was thinking out loud, I really don't think it's this line, because this is already in the tube, and let me get it zoomed in here. This is already in the tube, and we got good sound coming out right here. So it's got to be something connected to this part right here. And so I'm trying to remove the different things that are connected that way. So that's kind of been my steps that have been taken. And we know that our problem is right here, or something out here connected to it. Problem is, you can't connect some of this stuff because you lose your whole signal anyway if you disconnect it. So you have to be real slow at what you're doing here, and that's what I'm doing right now. Hello, and I'm back again. Like I say, we figured out our problem we had with the popping noise. We had found that loose resistor or capacitor back there, and we fixed the end of that, and that took care of that popping noise. Then I had to figure out the RF, and the RF was real simple, actually. Of course, not without me knowing what was going on, but I was trying to jumper this earlier because, let me turn this down. Anyway, I tried to jumper this earlier, but I had it jumpered wrong over here, and what I'm trying to do is bypass the wave magnet antenna, and I had it bypassed wrong. There's 4 connections right here, and I had them reversed, and that's why it wasn't coming through, and it was coming through with that hum. So it took a little bit of tracing back through, and I thought my problem was at the 1232, but actually it was just me having that jumpered off wrong. So I just put some of these leads in there and jumpered it, and jumpered it the right way. I went back over this again, looked at it really detailed, and like I said, I had it mixed up, but I'd done it with a little wire, I had it jumpered across, and that did not fix the problem, and that was what was creating all that problem we had. And I would try to edit this out, but I'm not going to. I'm going to admit that I have made a mistake over here and got that wrong. Now we got good radio.
Powerful storm moves through the region. Fox weather is
that's what you're supposed to hear, not that vibrating words. So we're going to go on to the next step now. I did in the process of all that too. I redid that alignment we did the other day just to make sure I didn't hit something wrong. And I guarantee you now, if we put it on the oscilloscope, you see a nice sine wave too, because you know, the problem was me, and I had wired this wrong here to try to bypass this plug. There's a plug right here that goes out to that wave magnet, and everything passes through there. Even though you're using a long wire antenna, that doesn't matter. That long wire antenna goes through that wave magnet. As you can see on this schematic right here, you're coming in from your antenna right here, it goes up and it passes through that wave magnet. And I had this connection connected in the wrong place instead of it passing through, and that was our problem. So I was able to get it fixed, and it's a learning experience for me, and humiliating a little bit because I know better, but I trusted myself, and I shouldn't have. Just like I trust myself to solder that capacitor back there, and I didn't. So anyway, in the process, we got a few other things changed out, because I disconnected a bunch of stuff, and, but it was a learning experience. If you don't have the wave magnet connected, you got to make sure you got these 4 dots over here connected right, and that's what I did wrong. Basically, I was not getting the ground off of that antenna, and that's what was causing that noise. I knew it was either ground or electrolytic, but I was pretty sure it was a ground. But I was thinking I was having a problem with my tube getting a bad ground, because that's where it was reflecting itself. But I told you, there's anything connected to it too. All right, what we're going to do next is we're going to do a alignment on the rest of the things on the shortwave and on the police, and we'll get that done, and so we'll have this thing almost ready to button up. All right, now we're gonna. What I did is when I did that first alignment, I bypassed these and I went just straight from the IF alignment on our first video, and then I went down here and I did these right here. And so we had all those done on the other thing. Now we're just going to do these 4 in the middle. This is your shortwave, and then this is your police bands. So we're going to get ourselves set up for that. And I'm going to start off with the shortwave. All right, and I'm going to set it up with a. We're going to go through a dummy antenna as our 400 ohms. Antenna. I'm just going to do it without the 400 ohms, and anyway, we're going to connect this to our antenna on the back. And so what I did is I have our signal generator. The main lead of it is connected to our antenna right there, and then the other end is connected to ground right here, and that's the 2 terminals on the back, right? Excuse me, two terminals on the back right here. And that's our signal generator. Now we want to set our signal generator. It tells us to set it to 18 megacycles, okay? That's where we're going to input it, 18 megacycles, and then we're going to set our dial to 18 megacycles. All right, so here we go. I'm going to turn this on. We want to hit 18 megacycles. We want to modulate it again at 30%. AM frequency, I like the 400 hertz tone It's just a don't hurt my ears bad tone, and we'll go with that. And now we'll come over here. I'm going to set our dial. I've already set the band, which I figured out the other video. But right there is the one that's on the megacycles. That's this top band right here. That's your shortwave band up there, and it comes around here. And so now we got to roll this dial to 18. Okay, so whoop, the other way, and we run to 18. That's right in the end of the dial there. And then we want to go back here, and we want to hit the output. All right. And we want to probably have to give it a little bit of tone, or volume, I mean, because sometimes these aren't even close to being in. And what we're going to do here is just roll and see if we got it nearby somewhere. Okay, there's our tone. I'm going to turn that down a little bit now that I know how loud it is. Well, okay, let's see if I can roll into it again. Okay, you see how far we're off. If you look at it, my 18's there, so I'm clear down here at about 17. So we're going to have to adjust that. So we are going to roll it on into 18. We know there is a tone there. We just got to move it into the right spot. Okay, so I think we're pretty close. Okay. All right, now it tells us for the ones we have to adjust is K, and we want to set it to the scale, okay? And we're going to go find out where K is by looking up here at this little block. And I believe that K is our top one. It's hard to read this because it's real fuzzy, but I don't see anything that looks like a K anywhere else. So there's nothing on the back, and that's a Q and an M, so it's got to be that top one. So our one we're going to do is the top one right here, okay? So I got to find my handle, and we're going to try to turn this until it comes in on 18. What we're doing is adjusting that needle. We're adjusting the radio station to where that needle's sitting at. Remember, I'm using a metal screwdriver, so you gotta move your screwdriver out to just make sure it's doing. Let me go get my other plastic one, because I can fit a plastic one up in here. That way it won't affect the noise at all. Just gotta get my lighting better. That's one thing bad about having a small room. And you don't have room to even get your screwdriver in there. Alright, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. There we go. I think we got that on the dial pretty good. Alright, so now we're gonna keep it like it is. We're gonna go to the 16 megacycles, and we're gonna do M. We're gonna line M, and I have a feeling we're gonna have a problem with that because it's on this. It's right there. It's on the side, and I don't know if I can get to that back or not. I can't. So I'm going to have to lay this down too, so I'll be back. All right, I got everything laid back down now, and I got this set on, now they got this set up too where you can do it in meters, but I've got it on the megacycle side, so I got to set to 16 megacycles, And so let's see if we can get this one dialed in. This is on the end out here, and I'm trying to figure out which one it is. It's supposed to be the one closest to the back, but these are vertical on here, so I'm not quite sure which one we need to change, because there's a top and a bottom, but on the paperwork, and this is probably because we're not using this model of the radio, but I'm gonna assume it's the bottom one, just because of the way if it's turned like that. So we're going right here in the bottom hole and see if we can dial this thing in. But before we do that, I want to make sure that thing's nearby somewhere. That way we know we got a tone. Oh wait, I gotta turn it back on. That's why I don't have tone. Forgot. I had to turn it off to lay it down. I was afraid to shock myself. Try that again. Okay, there's my tone. Turn that volume down a little bit. We're not too far off of 16 there, so. All right, we're gonna try this bottom one. Somebody's got this one tightened all the way down flat, so I'm gonna have to break it free with my regular screwdriver. Now remembering where that's at, just in case it's not the bottom one. And I don't think it is. I'm gonna leave that one out a little bit. It'll probably be our next thing we have to adjust. Let's try this one. It's hard to do this through a camera. I'm just testing the waters there. There's one turn, 2 turns, 3 turns. You should never really have to do that many. One turn back this way, that's all the way closed. So it's usually about a turn and a half or 2 off when it's all the way down. So it's neither one of them, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I'm gonna try that bottom one again. Okay, here's 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now all we're doing with these adjustments is we're trying to make this thing line up with that dial right there. So if I go back a little bit, so what I'm going to do, here's a plan B on that. It's got a real weak connection. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to try to turn this and see if one of these knock it off. I'm going to go to the bottom one. I still think it's that bottom one. Yeah, see, it's adjusting it, so just don't know why it's not fully adjusting it. Well, that is so close. I don't know, there might be something wrong with this trimmer, I don't know. Yeah, it's got a short in it. The trimmer, I pushed in on it and it made it kick in. Oh well. I think I'm gonna count that close enough. All right. Yeah, see now it's coming and going. There's all right, we're gonna let that ride. All right, this last one is the 4.5 megacycle. Everything else is the same over here, so we're still connected to the antenna. And we got 4.5 megacycles, and we're going to be adjusting Q, which is the other one that I messed up out there. So we know it's the top one now. So 4.5 megacycles, and we're going to align Q. All right. So let's get that going here. I don't know why they don't have a letter on that one, but. All right, we're going to set this first. I flipped it already to 4.5 on a megacycle scale. That's this little scale right here. And we're going to go between 4 and 5, between 4 and 5, so 4.5. I've got 4.5 set up here, and we're going to do the megacycle. And then we'll already be on the output. So let's see if we can pull anything in. Like I say, we might have to go off ways because I might have messed that up. And there it is. See, I turned that dial so much that it made it go away a little bit. So I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. All right, let's see if we can get this stupid thing fixed. All right, we're gonna turn it back up to 4.5. I just want to see how far off it was. And we should be able to try to dial this thing in now. Unless we got that. It's hard to read those numbers and letters out there, so it may be somewhere else, but I think it's these. All right, we're going to double check ourselves. Do we see anything out there that looks like the Q right there? I can't tell. That looks like N to me. I don't even see an N on there. What if that's my M? I bet it is. That might be my M. I might have to go back and do that one. I can't tell. That looks like an M to me there. That's where we were. All right. I don't think there's anything back here. We don't have this one on our radio. We just have those two. All right. Yeah, I don't know on that. Because we are getting the signal, it's just a little bit off. And I should be able to pull that in by turning that. I'm going to try to go quite a ways out. Maybe it's just way out there. You don't want to unscrew these too far because it'll fall out on you. I'm just going to double check it. You'll feel it start getting loose and you don't want to go any further than that. Yeah, it's not that far off, but let's see if we move that in at all. And then we'll go back and test our other theory. Now I'm going to turn this a little bit and see if I can make it adjust. Yeah, that should be affecting that, and it's not. So I'm going to try something else. We didn't adjust anything on this middle one. So let's see if this middle one's actually part of this. I'm just reading it wrong. and it was the middle one. So I don't know if the lettering is different because I'm using a different model. Remember, we couldn't find alignment instructions for this particular one, but I'm using a similar model with the same chassis, but they may have variations like that that we don't know about. So there's that. I got that line now to where it's right on 4.5, which makes me now wonder about, I don't know, I'm not worried too much about that other one. It's right real close. So we're going to let this ride. So we're going to say that we got this aligned now. And now, sorry about that, I dropped my phone. But now we got it to where it's aligned close to where you can hear your radio stations pretty close to what you set them on. We're going to set this back on the regular radio station, and we'll finish out this video by listening to our radio for a minute.
And calling for
All right, well, we got our radio running pretty good. Now, I can't run a bunch of stations on here because I'm just hooked on through this little antenna. I'm not hooked up to the wave magnet. I bypassed all that, and that's kind of taking away our antenna. I'll turn that down. This is my Fort Wayne station, and around here, I only get a couple stations anyway. I get 860, I get ESPN. I have horrible reception here in this area, and the way this is old, I got all these jumping wires back here for the antenna. It's not going to work right until I get it in the radio. So you're just going to have to trust me. This thing's got, it's got good volume and stuff. It's just, it's going to take a little more work. We're going to have one more video on this radio, and then I'm going to be finishing up. But on probably the next video we do, we're probably going to be tearing down our next radio, getting it ready for us to look at, and then we'll do a final video on this after that. And so thank you guys for watching. Thank you for bearing with me, because I wanted you to see the things, if you don't think about things, it reaches up and bites you, and then you got to work your way through it. But you see how I didn't give up today, and it was something that all the problems that I had today was mistakes I'd made. The one problem was the popping that I had. I knew what the popping meant. Popping meant I had a loose wire somewhere, and it did. It was there. It was hard to find. It took me a long time to find it. And I did all that off camera, so you didn't have to sit there and watch me try to struggle to find it, because I had to go through every connection to get it. But I did find it, and it just, it's trial and error. I went through with that little wooden stick and kept flipping joints until I heard that popping noise. Well, the reason that one was popping up there by the F5, 6F5 in the beginning, was it was all directly connected to that wire way down in there underneath that switch. So, bottom line, that's, even though I thought my problem was up there, it was actually way on down, but it's on the same run of circuitry. So you just have to work your way through the circuitry and check every connection, check all, especially, you notice it's every place that I touched. Usually when you have problems with these radios, is when you're changing stuff out, you did something wrong. So always go back on the wiring you did. And that's what I did. I just started tracing my wires that I soldered and put new wire. We put a lot of new wires in this radio. So you just have to go back and trace it, and sure enough, the first connection I didn't solder, and that took care of the problem when I fixed that, and I had no more of that popping noise on that. And then the second problem I had was no RF, and the reason I had no RF was way simpler than my mind was going at. I had taken little jumper wires and tacked them in there to try to jump across that wave magnet antenna that's still out in the radio. I was trying to make it like it would think the wave magnet was there, and I had jumped across the wrong way, and that's what was making the loud hum, because it was eliminating my ground there at the antenna. And once I got that back into place, and it took me, I ain't gonna lie, it took me a couple hours to figure that out, but once I figured that out, I have a good radio now. So bottom line is, we've got a radio going. We have a few little cosmetic things to do. We won't put this back in the cabinet until we do the cabinet this spring. We're going to redo 3 cabinets this spring, and it'll be part of our Series 2. And if you're into woodworking and stuff, you might enjoy that too. Because off and on we'll be doing cabinet work. I don't claim to be a professional, but I will make it look passable, decent. And I wish I was better than I was, because I'm so envious of those guys. But I'm going to at least make it where it's a nice looking radio. All right, I will give you a little bit of a spoiler alert. I made a command decision. We're going to do the Philco radio next, and that's what I'm getting ready to do on this next video. Is we're going to tear that down. The reason I'm waiting on the other one is because it's going to require some sandblasting to get all that old rust off of there. And the guy that's going to do the sandblasting for me can't do it right away. And so once I got it stripped down, we'd be stopped, and I don't want to be stopped. So we're going to do the Philco and buy some time. And then when it gets a little bit better weather, he'll be able to do the sandblasting for us, and we'll go in the next one. So we might have to do a couple radios before we get to that Zenith 9S262. All right, well, thank you guys for watching today, and hey, it was hard, but we won today. Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Looks like we accomplished that part, and I will try to continue on with this radio a little bit. We're going to try to make sure we tie up all the loose ends and get it all finished up, and then we'll be looking toward getting ready for our next radio. I still am not getting a lot of input on which radio you want, so I'm going to pick one myself. If I don't, I've only had a couple people that voted, and they kind of outvoted each other. So I'm going to have to pick one if you guys don't vote. It's either the Philco Model 70 or the Zenith Model 9S262. So you decide. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope you like and subscribe. Thank you.